Yeah, my dog's in the
Hello,
surgery. Oop.
and welcome to episode 46 of the Dash Force Free Amigos podcast. As you've just heard, Brian's dog's having some problems, but that's okay. We're all right. I'm
Pray
Mark
for him.
Mason. Yeah, Brian-
Dash can afford medical care. Don't worry about that. Your pup's gonna be okay.
I'm Mark Mason, and I'm joined by my two fellow Dash Force teammates, Joel Valenzuela. How's it going, Joel?
It's going pretty dashy.
Good to
Apparently.
hear. Good to hear. And Brian, how's it going, Brian?
I'm pretty good. My dog had surgery.
But he's on the mend. He's on the fix. It's all
He
okay.
should be all right. He should be all right.
Excellent. Okay. And our special guest at very, very short notice. So thank you to Chuck Williams from the Dash Core.
Brian's dog
Group.
surgeon.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I should start saying Dash Core Group now. So the head of UI UX development, Chuck Williams. Thanks for coming on, Chuck.
Hey, glad to be here. I'm always glad to talk with the community about dashy things.
How's the
Excellent.
dog doing? Is it pulling through?
My dog's good.
No, Brian's dog. I thought you were working on his dog.
No, I'm
Oh
waiting
well,
on a call.
in lieu of that, what do you think about think evolution's gonna pull through? It's gonna make it?
I think it's going to make it. Yeah,
It's going to make
I'm
it.
trying to make it.
Well, I guess we should talk about the price. I know we start off, but just for our audio listeners, I think the current price of Dash is about $284, and I think we're currently number 14 in the coin market cap.
Oh man.
So it's been a pretty dire week in terms of valuing crypto in fiat currency, but it's also been a quite promising week in terms of developments within Dash. There's been a lot of outreach, and I think the number one spot this week was actually Joel, who was on CNN International. And if you've not seen the video interview yet, it's fantastic. Joel really represented the Dash community. Great. Joel, do you just want to talk about that for a few minutes, just to give us the rundown?
Yeah, I guess. I was on CNN and they filmed me spinning Dash all over Portsmouth. It was pretty good shake. Just showed me actually got my one quote that I didn't expect them to do, which was when they're talking about regulations. Like, how is crypto going to cope with regulations? And I was like, well, Russian reversal. How is regulations going to cope with crypto? Yeah. And it turned out pretty well. There was a little bit of a obviously mainstream media kind of narrative misconception type stuff going on afterwards. But as far as the part where I'm on, it was pretty fair shake. So yeah, a lot of people have been like, whoa, CNN, whoa, like people I haven't heard from in a long time just saying, whoa, CNN. So it is a pretty good mainstream break. I mean, I haven't seen anyone run around spending Litecoin anywhere. Have you guys?
No, I thought it was great. I thought it was excellent. I was preparing for the best. Like, when we talked about this in Three Amigos, I was waiting for him. Like, terrorists and pedophiles aren't the only ones spending cryptocurrency, but it was not. It was, it was a bit. The only thing that they did put on there, I knew they were going to try something. They put like crypto collapse on the banner. Now, if they would have put like Bitcoin collapse and then talked about dashes, and that would have been awesome. That would have been great. But
What did I? Chuck,
Yeah.
but it's true. We do have a crypto collapse, so it is kind of true. So,
Have you had a chance to watch it, Chuck, yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet. It's going to be part of my weekend consumption, I think.
It's on the list. It's on the to-do list. Wow.
Mhm.
It was very good. So, what's new? Is there any topics anyone wants to bring up, or should we just go into the general news of the week?
Yeah, let me just talk about the crash real quick, just because you got to get your head around it, right? Or it can be really depressing, because it's not that it's like the crypto markets are down. Who cares about that? It's just that which ones are down and how is that's going. The whole idea behind the crypto markets being down to begin with is they were up too far, too much speculative investment. It's like, well, we need a good shakeout to get all the weak players out of the game and all that kind of stuff. And it unfortunately, and so the idea was if it crashes low enough, then all the stupid people gotta leave the space. All the weak projects that had just speculators, they all shake out. And then all the good projects are the ones that remain. And then we can get kind of a reset and a realignment of priorities. Unfortunately, it does not seem to be working out like that. There seems to be, like, no offense, but yes offense, Tron jumping was at 42% yesterday or whatever, and it's like it's a non-existent thing. It's just all nonsense. You got a bunch of other projects. Yeah, there was something, and this is a good great segue, Chuck, into what you're talking about, or one thing you might want to talk about is I was reading Alexander Block, Coda Block, released a blog post, a Dash core team blog post about Dash in general and a bunch of Bitcoin type related questions, like people talk about SegWit and Lightning Network and stuff like that, and how that works with Dash or it doesn't work with Dash. And one thing that he was talking about there was how Dash was originally based off of the Litecoin code base, but was later switched to Bitcoin. And I kind of thought that was a throwaway for a while, except that he actually mentioned the reason was that Litecoin was not being actively developed on. So Litecoin was created in 2011 and then was not, and then 3 years later, when Dash came around 2014, was not being actively developed on. I just abandoned. It was an abandoned project then, and that's why Dash had to switch to Bitcoin, right? That's why Dash had to be based on the Bitcoin code.
I think that agrees with my understanding, yeah.
Yeah, and then 3 years after that is when Litecoin started to be picked up again by some of these exchanges, thanks to Charlie Lee's massive pump and dumps and stuff. And this is like Litecoin as a
Charlie
coin.
Lee was employed at Coinbase for a period of time.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
and then Litecoin was added after that.
Yeah, and so like this is one of those things where, you know, because Litecoin is extremely similar to Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, it's like it works. It's not, that part of it's not a scam, right? It definitely works. The problem is just hype around it and stuff. It's so the crypto markets have nothing to do with real use at all. And it is a little depressing to see just like the world ignores crypto, and any attention they pay on crypto is on the completely wrong things and the wrong, like, I feel like it's only about a few hundred of us out there who are working on making the world a better place through this technology. Like, it's really pretty depressing.
It's always the minority that bring the value. 80-20 rule, right?
Well, that helps. That helps since I'm like half Mexican, so.
Right, but you got 20% of the people probably delivering 80% of the value in the crypto market. That would be a fair statement.
That's extremely optimistic. I go 95.5.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends on who you're working with, who you talk to. You know, I would venture to guess that 1 in 5 people are actively working on positive improvements in some way to the crypto space. Of all of those who are involved in crypto.
I would agree with that. However, I would say 1 in 5 of those 1 in 5 who are working on something positive are working on something practical, meaning something that's going to be used in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years.
Now you're getting
that
into
actually
of things.
Yeah, that get into, like, for example, I spend Dash right now. I use it as money. Other people use it as money. You can use it today to transfer value back and forth. You can use it as a currency. You can use it for all kinds of practical things today. Stuff like, I don't know, like Ethereum's been working. Ethereum's like one of those things that I would say a lot of Ethereum's in that 20%, that 1 in 5 working on something positive. And but it's very future positive. It's very like, well, we got to figure it out before it actually works for real people. And Bitcoin was one of those, like, half of Bitcoin before, I would say, like 2.5 out of 5 or 3 out of 5 was working in both of those realms, in the positive development realm and at the same time in the actually getting it used right now realm. And now that, as far as Bitcoin, I'd be like 1 in 10 in the positive realm, and then maybe 1 in 10 of, I don't know. I'm just really pessimistic on that.
Well, I agree with you.
I'm really optimistic about cryptocurrency as a whole. I'm even more optimistic about Dash, and things go better and better every single day. I'm so happy. It's great. That's just why but I still have all this pessimism on the other stuff. It's like, you got to weigh the two.
I saw the crypto kitties. They're gonna have like be able to race the crypto kitties. So that's gonna like improve everyone's life around the world, right?
Might make them a bit happier.
A niche market.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Well,
Yeah,
as you go, sorry, go ahead. Chuck, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
go
sorry.
ahead.
Well, Joel, you bring up a point. Like, let's say 1 in 5 are doing a positive thing, right? And of those 1 in 5, you know, there is some percentage that have systems that help set them up for success. You know, like in software development, a good system to have is a good functioning agile team or agile processes, so that you're focused on delivery and making things work. And you know, we've been spending some amount of time and investment making that work here at Dash. So in my opinion, it's not just the individuals, it's also the systems. And so if you have a functional system that is helping those people to succeed, even those 4 in 5 who aren't very productive or contributing can still be productive and contributing, because the system enables them to leverage their skills for the benefit of the system itself, in this case Dash.
Yeah.
So I think there's enabling systems that help to make people who may not be actively contributing to be passively contributing just by being who they are.
Like Tron. So like, as that was mentioned earlier, and we've already mentioned Ethereum as well, apparently Tron were boasting a bit, saying like they're the new Ethereum, and then Vitalik did a tweet with their white paper literally saying it was a copy and paste job, which was a bit crazy. But another big story this week that I want to bring up, I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but I really would like to know your thoughts, was that Ripple apparently tried paying Coinbase and Gemini exchange $1 million to get listed. What do you guys think about that? Was you aware of this news?
I saw it.
I heard something about it. I wasn't surprised.
Yes.
Not one bit.
Yes, I think it originally broke on Bloomberg. Now, I know in the past, a lot of the Dash community see Coinbase as the pinnacle, and they're just like, why can't we just put in a proposal to offer them loads of money and all that sort of stuff?
Right.
So, like, I don't mind integrations into exchanges when you factor in the development cost and all that sort of stuff. But just giving someone literally a pay packet and saying like, here you go, I don't know, something just doesn't feel quite right about that. And I don't know.
It accelerates things. Like money accelerates things, and if you're not prepared to receive the results of that acceleration, then you're not going to be well positioned for moving forward, and you can fall flat on their face. That's why I'm not a big advocate of getting on Coinbase as quickly as possible. I think it should happen naturally and organically, but there are benefits to doing that kind of thing, which is why I'm not surprised. You know, if you're a business and you want to get exposure, Coinbase is in the crypto space. Coinbase is a great place to get exposure. You know, there is no better place if you want to reach the American market. But I think that, you know, Dash is not focused on the American market. Dash is focused on the global market, and there are bigger, more pressing, lower hanging fruit in other parts of the world, like with the Kuvacash project, where, you know, it doesn't cost a whole lot to make a very huge impact. Also in Venezuela, also in Ghana. I think we get more bang for the buck in those environments where we're actually contributing to the economy by delivering Dash to those people, and they're using it in their businesses, in their lives.
Yeah, good to hear. Yeah, see, this is the other thing as well, because obviously being in the UK, Coinbase has no effect on me at all. I know I've heard of stories of people using like VPNs and all this sort of stuff, or using Revolut app in ways to fund Coinbase to get money on there to do exchanges, but it just seems too long-winded. But since then, a lot of people talk about the Robinhood app, and my understanding is of the Robinhood app, that's only available to people in the US and New Zealand, of all places. It's a bit bizarre. New Zealand being in there.
Only some states in the US too, I believe.
Oh, really? So, yeah, so that's not like it's the ultimate solution ever, because everyone's kind of like, this is going to change cryptocurrency for everyone. It's going to be more accessible to everyone. The Abra app, I've still not checked out yet. So,
yeah,
accessibility is everything, right?
Interesting. We have to sort of view this as the phases it's going through, right? First, Bitcoin created a peer-to-peer electronic cash system to replace current monetary systems. And it was kind of as a fun little tech thing, and then became like, okay, this is a little bit more serious. And then like, wow, this is like a good store of value that's beyond something that the current world can do. And after the usability thing went away, it just became like, well, now this is an asset we can hold on to, that it's not subject. It's a different kind of asset, different kind of store of value. And then Ethereum came along and was, I would say, the first. Now I'm going to sound, everything I say about this is going to sound, can be interpreted as a knock on Ethereum, and I don't mean that at all the same way, right? Just for disclaimer, it was a first good tech hype coin, meaning it's attempting to do some cool tech thing that could potentially revolutionize the way everything works, right? Just the whole DApp platform, the whole just everything, smart contracts. And so a lot of people threw a lot of money into this future potential, because this is something that's pretty cool, and if actually implemented, if actually used, could change everything. And so it became like, then we came the era from just digital assets to then tech hype type stuff, like textile, like .com bubble type things. And then because of the ICO boom, now it became anyone can raise money for projects, and anyone can create specific tokenization to create extra value. And so we're still in that playing around with investments and speculation kind of stage. And it's not just because, oh, you know, crypto, it's all bullshit, it's all hype, it's also because the easiest, the most accessible thing about crypto, you can just create a token on a blockchain, and then you can trade that. That's like you don't need to do any extra work. You don't need to integrate into merchants. You don't need to figure out like balance fees and user experience. You don't need to do any of that stuff. Just the easiest application of crypto is to trade it. And so people are, and because it creates this whole new electronic asset class that didn't exist before, people are burning through, so to speak. They're running that through its paces. They're doing that first.
Right.
And then when you start looking to other stuff, like just going back to Bitcoin's original value proposition, right? You go to using it as money. And that needs to be established first, because it was experimented with, and now we need to do something that's a good user experience. And then you need to start. Yes,
it's worth considering that using it as money first might be an unsafe assumption. And this is the thing that I always think about when I'm working here at Dash, right? Like, what if we're wrong? What if that's not the first thing we should be approaching? That is what we're doing here at Dash, right? It's to use it as money, to use it as payments. We see it as a foundational thing, but it's always worthwhile to question that assumption. There could be other more valuable uses than just money. I personally think that we need to get the money thing locked down in order to grow as a space, as a cryptocurrency space. But there may be other projects that bring specific value that the public likes better than
CryptoKitties.
Money. Yeah, like CryptoKitties. But I mean, I don't know how many CryptoKitties users there are compared to Dash users. And where did they start from? Is it the Ethereum-based community that's all in love with CryptoKitties, or did it somehow branch out of the crypto connected people? You know, those are things that I'd really love to explore and understand.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is the unregulated crypto world is so glorious, because it's the free market as most undistilled and new and virgin. And it's so funny because you don't get to decide what the free market does. The free market does, and you have to decide what you do about it. So what are people going to value Ethereum for? Well, tokens and cats. Like, that's what happened in the short term. That it's like, wait, but what about this that we're going to, no, they don't care. They're just, this is what I want. This is what I can do now. I love this. I love this thing. I'm going to put a lot of money into this. I want to crank out tokens, do cats and all this kind of stuff. And you might be frustrated, like, my whole lifetime vision is for all this cool stuff, and this is all they're doing. And it's like, but that's what the market does. And unfortunately, the third world that might need a better money most acutely, the third world does not have all this money to throw into this kind of thing. And so you'd say, like, first world players who don't necessarily care so much about a new or better money right now are the ones moving the markets around. Also, people in the third world, apparently, or people around the world. If you look at BitConnect's a very sad but very poignant example that people were using it as a get-rich-quick scheme, and not just like, well, anyone wants free money, but there's a lot of people that had no other way out of their daily grind. Like, they didn't want to get paid in slightly better money. They wanted some kind of an investment so that they are not stuck in poverty. They just want some kind of a way out. It's like, I get some, it's going to go up, and yay, I can get my car. I can finally live a better life. And so the first thing is just a money or an investment that will go up over time, or probably will go up over time. That's like the biggest thing that people get locked out of, especially you get poorer investors who just get taken advantage of because of their lack of knowledge. And then the stock market, they don't know how to run that. And they don't know long-term investments. And a lot of that stuff is, you know, just for more affluent people already to make even more money on top of that. And this is just one way you can have the poor and the uneducated possibly break into a new thing and maybe make it rich. That could be that lottery ticket for them. Yeah,
one other thing that came up that was pretty cool this week was the I guess everybody got the notification on the Blockfolio app with Dash, and it had some new news, and it linked to the video that Chuck made, which leads me into the question is, when is the next video coming out?
Right. So we just discussed this in our most recent demo meeting that we had internally, and we're targeting around the week of the 18th for the next release. We're shooting for monthly releases. The March demo was released on the 18th, so around there is our current target. There's a couple things that we want to get in there before we do the demo release. If we don't, we'll work around it, but we do want to get another video out sometime around there. That's the target.
That date's really interesting because I was just about to ask you about that time. So in last month, Dash Core Group put in 2 proposals, but one of those proposals was for conferences, so which was successfully funded. But I noticed there is one event in Denver on April the 19th and 20th, which it mentions Chuck Williams, our UX lead, was invited to provide a keynote speech. So last week we had Robert on, and he was saying, you know, he doesn't mind doing 2 conferences, a month. That's manageable. So as Evolution is coming out, I think it's so important to have a developer that really understands it, actually like boots on the ground at these conferences to be able to talk to developers and stuff there and outreach. Is there any other conferences apart from that you're going to be involved in, or?
Yeah, currently on the calendar, I have the Global Blockchain Summit in April. That's this one that's here. That's local for me. It's home. And I'm going to be talking at that one a little bit more about, like, so I talked with the event organizers there, and they said, you know, this is the kind of crowd it is, and they would appreciate these kinds of things. And basically what I boiled that down to was, okay, so you think they would appreciate this? And it's about basically living in the crypto space. Like, these are all people who are either in fintech or related, ancillarily related. These are not necessarily crypto people. These are business people. These are business owners. These are entrepreneurs. These are finance people. These are tech savvy people, but not necessarily crypto people. So I'm going to share with them, you know, like, how do you live in this crypto space? How do you deal with your finances? How do you work through? And then some perspectives on like what I see as the economic future for cryptocurrencies in general, and then a little bit of dive into Dash and what we're doing to enable this crypto future. So that's kind of the idea with that one. And then Libertopia, which I haven't really kind of worked out an agenda. That's in San Diego the first week of May. Libertopia is freedom oriented. I expect to see Joel there. I heard Ben Swan's going to be there. I heard Amanda B. Johnson's going to be there. I'm trying to get all of us together for a panel. I don't know, Joel, do you have any ideas on that or where that might be?
Yeah, so just got paid the other day. They're officially sponsored by Dash. Yay! They're Dash is a premier sponsor, and I believe. Hold on, let me actually check.
Yeah, while he's looking that up, and I think the last thing that I have on my calendar is the Canamed conference in October. I think that's also in San Diego. I was asked by
E46.
Kevin. Yeah, no, Kevin McKen. I forget his last name. Kevin runs the medical genomics company, who's writing the Dash, writing the marijuana genomic strains to the Dash blockchain. And he also runs the Canamed conference, which is like the biggest cannabis industry conference around, you know, business, finance, that sort of thing. And Dash is getting a featured spot there, so I'll be filling that slot in October.
This is amazing because Joel just got successfully funded as well, and Joel's doing a fantastic job at targeting all the libertarian events. So we've just seen Core get funded for 5 big events, and also don't forget E46 got funded to go to lots of cannabis conferences as well. So literally these 6 months, the next 6 months are going to be chock-a-block full of events, conferences. So I'm really happy that we're getting the message out.
Yes, in fact, if you want to go to Libertopia in San Diego, it's the 3rd to the 6th, and you can get 10% off if you buy your ticket in Dash, 5% off if you do a premium ticket with Dash. So yeah.
Oh, and there's also Pork Fest in June, but I'm still not sure about that. I think I want to get there, but yeah, I'm trying to get out there. Basically, I'm trying to work it out. There's just I got to keep it to 1 a month. I've had to turn down like 5 other conferences and events for the year just to try, because I'm trying to keep it down to 1 a month.
I think you should go. Word on the street is Mason's going to go.
I can tell you that there's not general agreement within the team that I should be attending as many conferences and speaking as much, because it takes my focus away from
Oh, I understand. Okay, I was going to say though, but like my biggest concern is
you're going to censor Chuck.
I mean, I love all these conferences.
Freechuck.org.
But as we identified last time, clearly when you was on, and also when Joshua came on, was that we really need to formulate a strategy to target developers, to make them aware of the SDK and just that this platform exists. So when we launch this from the get-go, we've actually got interest and people are aware of it. So it's not just like when it launches, then we do the outreach. We have to generate the interest first. And I know that's a big ask, but like I think we do need to start thinking ahead. But this is why I think the videos that you're putting out are great. We just need to find a way of pushing them into the right channels. Like, let's talk to developers. What websites, developer websites, do they really like? What magazines do they get? What conferences do they, even
Blockfolio. Did you hear about the Blockfolio integration?
So we saw Fernando talking in the Discord channel about the notification that Brian mentioned earlier. So I don't know how frequent those updates are going to be. I don't actually know how many people use Blockfolio, but I think that's fantastic. So it's using avenues like that. A lot of people are upset, obviously, about the Google, Twitter, and the Facebook ads. But if we can utilize media in terms of applications, websites to get that message out there, that's smart thinking. And also we can target the right audiences that we want to go for and actually change and cater that message really for that demographic that we're targeting on each different platform as well. So I think that's a really smart move.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. You'll have to I know Fernando's trying to corral those efforts. So we should see some enhancements to that process, I think, over the coming months. And he's been talking about event packages and marketing ready to go marketing materials and those kinds of things. But also, I think how we leverage our existing developers. We've identified at least a dozen developers within the core group that want to communicate with the outside world. Codablock just posted that very detailed article on Segwit Lightning RBF. We're trying to create a little bit more of a connection to the development community and understanding of what we have evaluated, what we are working on. And so, yeah, I think it's happening. It's going to be an organic thing again, but there's a lot of different fronts that we're trying to attack. And I think in this case, I like to take Ray Dalio's advice of just move slow, because this is an uncertain space. You don't want to be the first off the cliff, but you don't want to be the turtle that gets caught in the forest fire. So we're trying to just be at the leading edge of the running pack.
Has it been announced what that next video is going to be? Did I miss it? What the subject is? Is it
the next evolution demo?
Yeah.
No. So right now the demos are coming out of the front end team. We've kind of rebranded ourselves as the UX POC team. So we're trying to understand the right kinds of user experiences that we can and should do, and also we're trying to prove our concepts with proof of concepts in code that leverage the existing environments that are being provided to us. So we're going to continue on with the evolution context demo that we've been working on, and probably demonstrate an integrated payments mechanism, and I think there was something else that we're trying to get in there. I forget. Oh, maybe some prototype demos. So we've got some designs that had the Ogilvy and Mather branding on them that go through the onboarding walkthrough of evolution, and yeah, so we got to rebrand those for the TNC versions. And we're waiting for the branding guidelines to come back on that. Haven't seen it quite yet, but it should be, if not today, probably Monday.
Are we supposed to be voting on the TNC? Aren't we supposed to vote on like 80,000?
There is going to be a finalized version to continue the development of that flow.
Yes. So from what I've heard, the logo has been voted on and has been decided on, and the funding for TNC will be put to a vote. But hopefully there won't be very many interruptions with that. And yes, I have also been.
I don't know.
Matthew Tharp said something about they will be finalizing logo this week, doing a couple extra tweaks, and so to hold off on getting I got like a possibility of getting like 1,000 free T-shirts built through some like connections to the Dash community, and so before I get those 1,000 free shirts, I gotta make sure that they aren't like 1,000 free Darkcoin logo shirts or something like that.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to Joshua. He's in the chat. Joshua, as you know, is Chuck's partner in crime in the front end development of Evolution. So he's got a message for Chuck saying, "Hey Chuck, I'm going to be at Porkfest," which you've seen. But I also want to say that Joshua is actually going to an event this month as well. He's actually going to Amsterdam. So if we have any Amsterdam viewers, he's going there to give a presentation on. Actually, I forget what the title is, Joshua. So if you chuck that in the chat, let me know. But that's been done by Opera Incubator. So, and I believe it's like the Blockchain Labs or something like that. So I think it is very developer oriented. So if you are on that side of the world, based in Europe, in Amsterdam, and you fancy it, I think it's April 8th. No. When is it? Is it? I was going to say the 18th, but I don't want to get it wrong. But you can go to Opera Incubator's Twitter account, and I think they've already started to promote that. So if you are interested in that, you can go check that out.
Yeah. Is that an organization promoting professional singing?
Opera Incubator.
No, that's it's Festi.
I'd have a good stupid joke there.
Yeah. So right, actually, we got a message in the live chat. So from Thomas Westbrook about please talk about the We Are Change Adam Kokesh proposals pass in. So
I got a couple stories on that one. I ran into Adam. Go ahead, you first.
Just very quickly, because they put We Are Change with no capitals, all one word from here. It looks like it says, "Please talk about the wreckage from the Adam Kokesh proposal." I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? So anyway, now Chuck, be serious.
Yeah, at Anarchapulco, I ran into Adam Kokesh, and for those who don't know, Adam Kokesh is trying to get on the Libertarian ticket for a presidential campaign in 2020.
Apparently, he fixed Brian's dog. I hear in the background.
It's a little dog. That's a small dog.
Yeah, I'm gonna. By the way, I'm gonna keep up the false narrative that you're Brian's dog surgeon through many episodes to come.
Nice. Yeah, and Adam was like, so Ryan was there, who is a strong member in the community. I forget his online names, but he's been on Amanda B. Johnson shows and active in the community. Ryan approached Adam. Adam came up to me and said, "Hey, is this Ryan guy legit?" And I was like, "Yeah, Ryan's legit." And Ryan ended up organizing a number of people to fund the sponsorship of the proposal for the book bomb, which is a dropping of a bunch of the freedom books that Adam authored while in jail at some point.
Is completely legal, by the way, because we're talking about jails and bombs and stuff. Just try to make that clear. There's nothing illegal about this.
Yeah, so just for Europeans, what is this freedom book about?
So the freedom,
it's a concept that's not familiar to most Europeans. It starts with an F and ends with an A. It's freedom. It means not being, anyway, it means no communism. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought I had a copy of it laying around at my desk, but it's
book by Adam Kokesh, who was
it's like a tattoo
former
freedom.
Yeah, he was a former, I guess, former Marine Corps member, and then he's just been an anti-war activist and pro-freedom activist for many years. Had a show called Adam versus the Man for a while. It was a pretty good show.
He ran for Congress in New Mexico.
Yeah, he ran for Congress. Didn't he run for president for the Libertarian Party or something? He's always running. He's always running for president for something. So yeah. Anyway, he's doing a big book tour. He's dropping his freedom book all over the place for free, and
so this proposal is going to get the Dash branding in it. Yeah, they'll drop the Dash branding on the inside cover, talk a little bit about Dash,
freedom,
and then
sponsored by Dash.
Exactly. So the proposal was to fund a book drop with Dash logo branded in
for Louisiana, because Louisiana is where the Libertarian conference is going to be.
Yeah,
Libertarian. It's also a spot that needs a little bit of hope, if you ask me.
Okay. Yeah, I just think it was clear. That's what I was trying to get to, just to make that distinct, because we don't want authors of books just randomly putting in proposals thinking they could just put, and thanks to Dash for helping to, distribute my book.
Right.
So, okay. And who would like to talk about We Are Change with Luke? Just to give a little
rundown of the proposal. Because I walked him through submitting the proposal. So We Are Change is another one of those like guerrilla journalist type people. It's kind of like the and I'm sorry if I use some unfair language in describing. They're just trying to paint a mental picture. It's just kind of like the hippie activist version of Ben Swan, if you will.
That's about right.
Ben Swan has that. He's got that polish. He's got that, what the media isn't telling you, and like all that kind of like professional production value. Just like make it sound like the mainstream media with real facts, like real hardcore truth. And We Are Change is just like the street journalism where you got the camera and you're going following people around, sometimes ambush interviews, stuff like that. And so anyway, so We Are Change heard about Ben Swan, like, hey, we want to do a sponsorship, especially since YouTube kept on like demonetizing or taking down their videos and all the stuff Ben Swan had to deal with too for having a more hardcore opinion. And so anyway, yeah, they got through a proposal. Luke was talking to me about getting through, like, how do I submit this? I came up with an error. How do I do that? And just say copy paste. You got to do this. And honestly, that does kind of highlight that when new people come to the Dash community, there's no real good guide for proposal owners. And there are a few about that just say you might want to lobby in the forums. Here's a step-by-step thing. But how many people know that you have to have 5-Dash first? You have to have it in a Dash core wallet that you download and it's all synced up ahead of time. And how many people know that you should probably check Dash Vote Tracker to see how much money is in the budget, what the voting deadline is, how much has been requested. Like last month, you had a bunch of people who unfortunately lost money because they submitted proposals like sometimes last minute when the budget was double requested. Someone like me, because I've been in the community for years now, I could go in there and just be like, oh, wow, I'm going to wait till next month. I'm not asking for anything. It's not getting through. But how do we know that? But anyway, yeah, so We Are Change. Very excited about that. And I'm going to add the Free Thought Project is a news website. Sort of think of We Are Change, except a news website version. And they were actually I think the first people to ever pay me to write back in like 2011, 2012, or whenever it was. And so I wrote for them a while back and then went on to other things. And they put a proposal to be sponsored by Dash, replace all their advertising with Dash stuff. And yeah, that passed as well. Interesting to note, Ben Swan, who just got renewed for another 4 months, assuming he doesn't get defunded, he brought these 3 proposals to the table that passed. Matt Savoy of Free Thought Project reached out to me and said, hey, we heard about Ben Swan. We want to be sponsored by Dash too. And then We Are Change, Luke Radowski, them as well. And then Adam Kokesh was in the audience in Acapulco when Ben Swan gave his rousing speech. So it's like, this is your D's at work, right? Just getting in there, expanding the ecosystem. Unfortunately, the budget's tight, so it can't afford everyone right now, but give it some time and we'll see.
Yeah, let me just
Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to add to the We Are Change thing that, Luke's original proposal, if anybody read it, was pretty expansive. It was like a 2-year thing, and he was wanting like $10,000 a month for giveaways, and I contacted him and talked him down, and it's a much smaller proposal. He's supposed to do Dash branding, kind of like Ben does, with the little bug and the Dash shout out, and then he's supposed to be doing a crypto show as well once a week. And I've talked to him since then. I think that was just a 1 month proposal, and I think he's going to try to do another bigger proposal. But I warned him to be careful, not too big, because I think the budget's going to be full once again.
We Are Change always has had a special place in my heart, because it was in 2015, while I was presenting an idea at the Colorado chapter of We Are Change, that somebody in the audience said, "Hey, have you looked at Bitcoin for this piece?" Because I needed a certain piece that included a database that could not be changed, and I didn't know the database that was one of the features of Bitcoin at the time. And it was that night, after that presentation at a We Are Change Colorado activist group event, that I read the Bitcoin white paper for the first time and decided to buy some Bitcoin. It was an interesting connection.
Oh, We Are Change, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say
it's very interesting, because everyone, like, all these things. I think I published some of my first Bitcoin pieces I ever got paid for in the Free Thought Project as well, and then Adam Kokesh, when he's doing Adam versus the Man, is when I first got a contact with Amanda B. Johnson. Like, I kind of knew who she was, but when she was interning for Kokesh, she approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to be on the Adam show?" And I said yes. And then he did his DC stunt and got arrested for that. So
I was going to say, I don't remember you going on. Yeah, we used to watch.
Yeah, it was going to, because I was heading up the protest or whatever. It was going to be, the Second Amendment rally or whatever in Phoenix as a result of the initial arrest. But then the initial, I forget, it was one of those things. And then when he decided to do his whole, we're going to start a revolution and, tell the government they got to disband and all that stuff. And I backed off. I'm like, oh, wait, big guy. No. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of the note,
Dash has the attention of the freedom community. There's a lot of interested people that came out of Anarchapulco. There's a lot of Dash love that was going around there. Very prominent people in the freedom community. There's many proposals. I've talked to many very prominent members of the freedom community. I can't name them until they do submit their proposals, but I know of at least 3 or 4 additional proposals that we haven't even mentioned that are coming out of those freedom communities. And this is one of the things that I'm.
Can you help them with that, Chuck? Can you do the world and the Dash world a favor by trying to find as many creative ways of getting people coming into Dash to not go straight for a proposal? The reason I'm saying for that is because the treasury mechanism is amazing and everyone wants in on it. However, there's got to be ways of not doing it that way. Like, for example, go through Dash Force program.
Here's what I've been telling people.
Yeah, Dash Boost.
Yeah, go to Dash Boost before Jizza gets up in there and get on like start using Dash as for your service, accept Dash donations, like start using Dash, getting involved in the ecosystem. Sorry, I'm just making Brian laugh too much. But yeah, there's ways of doing it. You don't have to just ask for the treasury. It's sort of like asking for a subsidy to start your thing. Sometimes
my approach has been, okay, well, what do you look, if you're going for this treasury thing, why are you doing it? I try to get them to talk about it, but first, how about get engaged with the community? That's one of the things that I really advocate for, is get yourself on Discord, get yourself known in the community. If you're already a prominent member and you already have a following and you already have a strong presence and branding, you're going to be much more likely to get any proposal passed if people know who you are and what you're about. And some of these people, they're very well known, and a lot of people know what they're about. But certainly for those smaller, for things that are, I try to evaluate as much as I can and guide them in the direction that I think is going to be helpful. Those are good points, though. I think, certainly being an acceptor of Dash is a big deal. And that is one of my questions that I usually, are you using it? Are you accepting it? Do you have a wallet? How familiar are you with it? Because a lot of times, a lot of the people that I have been speaking with, it's like, yeah, I hold some Dash but it's on an exchange, or I don't know the core wallet, or the Jax wallet is weird, or like this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, look, you got to get engaged with the community. You got to start using this as much as you can. So I do go that route to some degree, but those are good. That's a good reminder. I will serve the community in that way.
When is Dash Boost dropping? It's soon, isn't it?
The website is
still in the
live.
public beta, as far as I know. It's coming up soon.
Dashboost.org. And the
Yeah,
website.
we got a sneak preview in the after party last night. It looked really good.
Yeah. The domain is live now,
it.
and I believe the proposal registration, I think, is open. So if you go to dashboost.org, you can go check that out now.
Yeah, we need to do a big article when it drops.
I just want to ask Chuck something, because he mentioned the We Are Change event that he attended that opened his eyes to the world. And he said he had this idea that he wanted to present, but he just didn't know how to go about it. And I've heard him talk about this. He's very passionate about this. And previously, you've mentioned that you didn't know how you could make this, how to actually go about delivering it, but you might be able to do that through Dash Evolution. Is this idea that you had still of interest to you? Are you still passionate about it?
Yeah. I've consciously, every time I get an idea about it, it's a pretty well-formed idea at this point, but every time I have a folder that I just drop my notes in. So at some point when the world is satisfied with what I've delivered as a platform, then I'll play on top of the platform.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I look forward to hopefully learning what that is in the future. It definitely sounds interesting. All we know so far is that it requires a database. Right? So that really helps. So,
I will say, I mean, I hate to say too much about it, because this is my baby. I really want this thing to go, and I don't want anybody to steal it. So
have you told many people about it? Are the core team even aware of this idea?
No.
So you've really held your cards close to your chest on this.
This one. This is mine. This is going to be my gift to the world.
Wow. So we're going to see another patent release coming up soon, just with your name on it.
I hope to not have to patent it. I hope not. I mean, I hope that it's simple enough and elegant enough that it doesn't need to be.
Well, there you go, folks. Open source is the future. So, okay, cool. So before we went live with the podcast, Joel published an article regarding Q1 2018 about all the successful integrations and announcements that Dash has had. Is there any highlights from Q1 2018 in that article, Joel, that you'd like to highlight now?
Well, let me just say that there's been, and this has been the way I do these things, is I go over previous Dash Force articles. And for example, the big one was the first month 2018 roundup. The January roundup had about a dozen integrations and about 8 or more major partnerships. And now it's really hard. Like it was hard getting all this straight, because Dash has over 23 new integrations this year alone, right? This is just like people say, oh, gloom and doom crypto markets, nope. This is moving along very fast. Yeah, about 2 a week. So consistently 2 a week, averaged out, bam, 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 just keeps, and that's just integrations. There's been plenty of extra partnerships. So some of the big integrations, a whole bunch of different exchanges: Mercury Cash, BitIt, Godex, Payza, Coinfield, BitInca, Negocia Coins, BitNovo, Bitcoin.vn, Rocket Pay, Coinfinity, Morph Token, WebMoney, Abra. That's just like the exchanges. Wham, 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 just over and over. And then Cheap Air, of course, is the big one.
That's a cool one.
I'm very happy with, because I'm going to start using that a whole lot.
I got to get my wife on that.
India-based Quick Wallet, which I have to look into it more. I'm trying to talk to the CEO about that. But apparently, it's a merchant processor that allows people in India at 4,500 or so locations to now accept Dash and pay bills with Dash. So this could be just like the linchpin for India. I'll have to look into it, but that could be huge. Can you imagine Discover Dash having 4,500 extra listings all over India? That would be amazing.
I've always considered, when you consider the population of India and the problems that they've had currency related, you don't really hear a lot of cryptocurrency news in terms of outreach or even adoption in India. And being a country that's very open to alternative currencies, especially precious metals, when they get married, they like to have the dowry in gold. So like really, they're the iconic, perfect location really to launch cryptocurrency, because they're going to be most welcoming to it, especially when you compare the Western world.
Yeah, the people, the
the
government.
government's.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's a rough one.
The regulatory environment is unfriendly.
Well, we've
right
seen India take some very interesting stances towards gold. That I think they tried to embargo it at one point because people were trying to. They didn't trust the natural rupee currency, so they're trying to stockpile gold instead. So they're kind of like, no, you can't do that. No import, export.
They had that thing with cash too, where they had them like turn in. There was long list crazy.
Yeah, they got rid of the 500 and 100 rupee note or something like that, and caused everybody to start standing in bank lines to get daily withdrawals that were capped. Right? And then we were talking about capital controls now, and anytime you get capital controls in an economic system, that's a signal that there is a problem at the macro level. And that is the government's not going to tell you the day that the bank just shuts down and suddenly 70% of your money is no good now. Like they're not going to give you any heads up on that. If you can't redeem your money for gold anymore, they don't give you notice. They didn't give us notice here in America for that sort of thing.
Yeah, we have FDIC protection for like 250,000 per account. However, if the whole system goes bad, then I mean that's that doesn't do anything
within itself, because they tell you that number, but when you actually look at the deposit balance of what the total is to help cover that, when you look at all the individual's bank balances, it covers just a tiny fraction.
Yeah.
Not only that, but as of 2005, signed into law by the Patriot Act, the banks, the regulatory banks, the regional banks get dibs on all deposits and things held in safety deposit boxes for anything owed to them by local banks. Okay, so and then FDIC payouts kick in. So after the central banks get their cut, then the masses get their cut.
I normally say to people, like, the money in the bank, is it yours or is it the bank's? Which clearly it's yours, but now it really turns out
you got to hold your private keys.
Yeah. When you sign up for that bank account, you got to read that small print. You got to read that fine.
Deposits are the property of the banks. That's if you look at your contract with any bank, deposits belong to banks. Deposit accounts belong to banks. The money they just provide you access to their deposit account when you deposit with them. So it's not yours at any point.
You know what we need? We kind of need some kind of like PayPal type solution, but instead of being like a payment processor, it could be like your bank as well. That would be like perfect.
That's a scam too.
Yeah, is that your idea, Chuck?
You need to come in there, otherwise it's not going to work.
So I'll share the general idea. Is it's a blend of psychology and productivity, and it's a way to make people productive, but through incentivized methods.
Crypto kitties.
yeah. Crypto kitties for work.
Crypto puppies. How about that?
Sure. Crypto jobs. Something. We'll see. We'll see. Imagine like gig economy everywhere for everything, for any skill.
So speaking of which, here's where I shell for another token. I'm just kidding. I'm just talking about a project that's one of the main PR guy kind of lives locally here. Swarm City. It's a Ethereum DApp, and it's one of the few that's like pretty legit. It's focusing on basically being like a decentralized Uber for more than just rides.
Yeah,
sort of like a tokenized
thing. It was
a lot of
Arcade City or something like that prior to that.
Arcade City was the rideshare version of it, but then they had a hard fork, had a split where they left the founder. The founder kept the names Arcade City. He was working on a rideshare app, and then the rest of them kept all the money. Unfortunately, they also were the what was that multi-sig wallet for Ethereum that got hacked?
What
started with a P?
Partiality or something like that?
No, I forget. It was with a P. Anyway, whichever that wallet was, they were one of the people that lost all their Ethereum through that. So they're struggling through on a shoestring budget. But anyway, when you're talking about the gig economy going like everything, obviously a currency like Dash makes that easy, but then also enabled by a blockchain are things that parity. Thank you, Forrest. Hi, Forrest, by the way.
Parity wallet.
I'm going to see the UFC fight with him tomorrow night. Anyway, so yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see not only stuff that gets enabled. That's a thing that I think what happens with crypto is people get ahead of themselves. They just, which is kind of what I do. So I can't criticize. Like as soon as I get something like, oh my gosh, this is digital money, I'm going to close my bank account, live all off of Bitcoin. And then like I just did it. It's not like a smart move, but it was fun. And I'm like, I'm going to keep trying it with Dash, and it's still working. Like, it's not like it's a smart move, but it's just like you get excited and just get ahead of yourself. And that's
a self-challenge of sorts.
Yeah, it is a self-challenge. And then the crypto world tends to do that a little bit as well. It's like we're just starting to figure out how blockchain-based tokens and property and currency can kind of work. Like the very easy transfer this to here, unit this, move to there, and we confirm that on a distributed public ledger. Just starting to figure that out and the implications, and then just starting to get that used. And then people are already like, well, what if it can run everything? What if like everything runs on this thing? And then it's just like, it's like, whoa, dude, like that sounds amazing. But like, just
that's why it's important to move slow. Like we can dream fast and we can dream big, but we have to move slow and take methodical, pragmatic actions, I think.
Yes, headline, Dash Evolution developer says release 2023.
That's not what I'm promoting, no. Bit by bit.
I'm just giving you trouble.
Chuck, has there been any discussion within the Dash core group to utilize the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance membership? Because as we was talking about bringing developers on board to work with Evolution, wouldn't it be a really good way to tap into that already existing developer market within Ethereum by targeting Ethereum-based conferences and using that Enterprise Ethereum Alliance membership as kind of a segue into it to start a conversation and just to say, hey, look, great, because that would take away that hostility from perhaps, just from folks like, what's Dash doing at an Ethereum event? And having those conversations, I think that would be a really good tactic.
So I can't say how much of the work that I have seen in the business side of the house has come out of the Ethereum Alliance partnership, but I know that Ryan and Bradley are in some way engaged with them, and I can only assume that there has been some amount of efforts and projects that has come out of that, because I see that there are a number of things going on that are intended to be announced, and that there are projects that are progressing. As we are improving our external communications, we're also improving our internal communications. And we're starting to circulate around a lot of meeting notes from various people who are meeting about specific things. So it allows us to kind of catch up on what's going on outside of our individual realms a little bit better. And I think it's creating a kind of synergy and understanding. So I can't say that I've seen anything specifically related to the Ethereum Alliance, but I can only assume that there is work going on behind the scenes that results in some of the things that I am seeing. And there's probably other relationships and partnerships being developed.
I'm telling you, it's crypto puppies. That's the new thing. That's the new thing.
I would love to do a crypto puppies on top of Evolution. I think just port the CryptoKitties code and see how it works.
Yeah.
How's the documentation coming along for Evolution? Is that still?
Let me share with you a link. Let me see. I think it's almost ready. Shoot. I don't know if I have the link handy. Dang it. There is a new documentation website that is being launched, and I've seen a lot of deprecation notices going on the Confluence site. Josh, if you're online, if you happen to have the link, go ahead and drop it in the chat, and maybe we can share it here. But I don't have it handy. Sorry. But there is a new documentation site that's coming up that has all the latest and greatest. And as dips get published, they'll probably land there. Somebody's at the door. Sorry. And I think there's going to be a number of other things. Actually, Joshua and I just last week were talking about, okay, now that this is up, this looks good. How can we integrate with our documentation that we're in progress with? So it's coming along. It's coming along. There is progress.
So this will enable people to start reading up. Obviously, before the SDK is nowhere near ready to be launched.
We hired a full-time technical documenter who is awesome. Like, he's been contributing for a while, but we brought him on full-time, and he's very technically savvy. Hey, the Fez, shout out. So yeah, I'm really happy. I'm excited about that.
Come on, Joshua. I know you're there. Drop that link. Oh, is it, are you saying is it dash hyphen docs github.io? Let's check.
Yeah, that's a great place. I learned a lot of cool stuff there.
Right.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that earlier in the week. Yeah.
Yep. So this is the revamp of our documentation, and I think we're gonna be leveraging this. This is where developers will go in the future to learn how to work with Dash and the principles of Dash and all of that sorts of thing.
Okay, Joel, is this the one we was looking at before? Just to double check. Yes. It is. Okay, right. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so just for our audio listeners, that's dash-docs.github.io. And
yes, and that's docs, D-O-C-S, as in documents, not dogs, as in woof.
Yeah, or docs as in D-O-X-X.
Or D-O-C-K-S. Dash docs. Yes. There's a lot of poor audio listeners. They must just it must be a nightmare. We're still haven't gotten into the Joe Rogan kind of rhythm where whenever there's a visual element to the podcast, he just says, for those just listening, you haven't quite gotten into that rhythm of doing it. Just for those listening, Brian's flipping the double bird at the camera right now. Like, no, he isn't. But I'm just saying, like, double thumbs. There you go.
Yeah. It'll take some training, practice.
Speaking of good informational resources, I saw on Discord today the link docs, once again, DOCS .dash.org is another documentation resource that is very, very good. Even to share out, it breaks down what is Dash, to its features, to exchanges, to the fees, how to buy, about the wallets, pretty much everything. It's a really good resource. So those that are familiar with the previous hub of documents on the Dash Pay side from a while ago, it wasn't too pleasant to look at. It looked a bit dated. This is a much, much more updated documentation library, and I really recommend checking it out. And I would actually say it's actually a good reference link to share to people new to Dash, because it allows them to easily navigate areas of interest and see the information they want to see straight away and to the point. So definitely check that out. docs.dash.org.
Yep, and dash-docs.github.io is the new one that we'll be expanding as we roll out evolution features and functionality.
I guess we should probably say, like, shout out to Strophy as well, because I think he was instrumental in the docs.dash.org one. Yeah. So shout out to you, sir. I'm not sure if you're watching, but if you are, it's very much appreciated.
Yeah. Also, Joel was on the CNN, but also Dash Racer. He had a spot on NBC Sports for the racing competition. Yeah. Shout out.
Saying, like, people are really kind of waiting for the next big break or what's the new thing, what's kind of stuff. I would just say patience, really, because any conversation for 5 minutes with someone involved in Dash, and I'm sure this is true in a lot of different crypto communities. I know there's been a lot. I know some friends who are involved in different Ethereum-based projects, and just seeing there's buzz and stuff going, like work. You can see work being done, and then I know people in the Bitcoin Cash community that are always like, oh, well, look, we got this coin text working, and oh, like, we got this other thing. Like, they're busy too. Like, anytime people say crypto is dead, there's a few key communities especially you can talk to, but you can talk to some people and just, you never run out of things like, well, this happened, that happened, that happened, this happened. We're working on this other thing. And it's just like, wow, this is going to be big. It's not just, oh, it's going to get its break and then it's going to be big. It's like, it's already big. Crypto is already really taken off.
I've been involved
in it. It's taken more and more and more, like every passing month, including all this crash. Oh, it's terrible. And it's like, I remember Dash had a $10 million valued budget in December, right? The Dash treasury was $10 million and only $4 million of that was spent. And now it's like, what, 2 million or something like that. And I have not seen momentum go down. First off, there's been a lot of proposals that got submitted, a lot that didn't work, but there's been a lot of just tightening up of that. I don't see it like people are ghost towning Dash at all. Not by a long shot. It's just up and up. new businesses every day popping up on Discover Dash, new development updates, new exchanges, new integrations, new news spots, new just. In fact, in a 10 minutes or so here, I got to take off and present to the University of New Hampshire Crypto Club. Spend an hour and a half teaching the kids about how to end the Fed in their lifetime.
Nice.
So it's going to be just piling up over and over. There's just more and more cool stuff. And I don't know. People keep on saying, like, some people who know me, like, they ask my friends or whatever, like, after the crypto crash, people are just like, how's Joel? How's he taking it? Oh, is it okay? Do we need to, like, send him some more soup or whatever? Like, you kidding me? I'm loving life. Like, there have been a couple of stressful moments where I'm like, I just got a proposal passed. The 20% fluctuation buffer got eaten through before I was able to even spend it. How am I going to still make, and, you know, I still made it work, right? We're still making everything work. Other than that, there's been pretty much no stress from this whole thing. I've just been looking at the price like, damn. But as far as work, as far as what's going on, like, that's the way you don't care about the price swing so much as you keep working, because wow, there's just so much cool stuff happening.
Yeah, you just get heads down with the work as long as there's work to be done, then then you know that you're doing something. You know, it's not, and that's the hard part. And coming all the way back around to the 80-20, where you got those 20%. If you have systems where you're focusing on the right kind of work, then the pragmatic stuff is just going to roll out of it. Like, integrations are pragmatic, promotions are pragmatic to a large degree at this stage. You know, a lot of the stuff that we're doing, that we're pumping out from a organizational perspective is valuable.
Yeah. Speaking of value, just out of curiosity, I just went to check out the masternode. I figured with the price going down, I would have thought the masternode count would have gone up. And looking at the chart over the last 7 days, the maximum amount of masternodes that we've had is 4,776. And it's currently at 4,730. So it's actually gone down over the last 7 days.
Marginally. I have a theory on that, right? First off, you might have some but some like year-long holders or something like that. They were expecting Dash to be top 3 ranked or something like that by now. They're just getting out. There's probably a couple of those. I'm also guessing there's a lot of people who were speculators, savvy speculators who still believe in Dash, but are like, you know what? Dash is always going to be okay. I can always go back into it. But there's these shit coins are so low. I can just liquidate a node or two, throw them into those, and those are going to the moon. And as soon as they go on the moon, I'm just to take it out, put it back into Dash. Dash is always going to be there for me. These crazy opportunities to get on these low pumps at this low point in the market, that's not going to go away. And I can't really. I mean, if I were a big-time Dash investor, I might be tempted to do the same thing. I don't know.
You can also lose just as fast. Yeah, you can also lose just as fast.
I was going to say, just keep in mind, don't take that as like a big negative. That's only the last 7 days. When you look at the last 90 days, you have to factor in that Dash has gone from 4,348 to a maximum of 4,790. So that's a huge jump. So we're only talking over the last 7 days, just a few, but so we've only just come from an all-time high, and that was quite a big jump up. So yeah, it was just out of curiosity, because I've been trying to accumulate as much Dash as I can with the downturn in the price. Always take caution in what you do. As we say, like, the best investment you can make is in education, pays the best interest.
Yeah.
And just do your due diligence. Like, don't jump completely 100% in the deep end. It's just, having been playing this game for like years now and been into this, I know there's always that potential that this could be the last time we see Dash at this price, because more often than not, I remember Dash being like $7, actually below then, and I remember thinking, well, maybe I should just cash in some of my precious metals and just get like a masternode. And even then it was like, what, I guess it's like
4,000, 7,000.
Yeah, 5,000. Yeah. So even in pound sterling, it was even much easier for me to do, right? So I was just like, oh, I should do that. And then obviously then it jumped up to 30, and then Amanda was at Acapulco a few months later, and it went up to 80, and it was kind of like, oh, I'll just wait, it'll come back down, I'll be all right. You know, so like it's been like a yo-yo, and I'm sure it's the same for everyone else. So for me, looking at don't think what's happening in the next 5 minutes, the next day. Think about what's happening in the next 6 months, year, 5 years. If you get sucked into that short-term noise and you're just constantly refreshing CoinMarketCap, you're never going to get anywhere because you're just focused on what's happening in the next 5 minutes. We know evolution.
I know plenty of people who I would like to put like a dog collar around to keep them from clicking on CoinMarketCap, because I get like it's down. Like, no, just stop it. Slap. Just get off that. Like, it's not good for your health.
Yeah. Has anyone else noticed that the Bitcoin dominance in CoinMarketCap's gone? It's back over to 45% now. So I don't know if people are trying to see that safe haven within Bitcoin, and then perhaps when it retraces, that's going to start coming back down into the altcoins.
Well, I would encourage people. So we go to coinmarketcap.com, and up at the top where it says Bitcoin dominance 45.1%, click on that, and you get to see the chart. And if you look at this pattern, right? So first off, it goes in these humps kind of thing. It falls off a cliff and then builds back up, falls down. So it's been slowly trending downward up until early 2017 when fees got horrific, and then it really dropped. But it's the same thing. It drops, builds back up, drops, builds back up. Its lowest point was June of 2017, which was under 30%. It was like 37, 38, kind of around there. And then it built back up to the high point of 65% in December of 2017. And then it crashed all the way down to 32% or possibly lower in January 2018. And then it's been building back up to where it is now. So I don't know, maybe it passes 50%, goes to 55%, and then falls off another cliff. I don't know. I'm not a technical analysis guy. I just look at pretty pictures.
Yeah. I still have the gut feeling that I think in 2018 that we're going to get over the $1 trillion mark. I just think it's psychologically there. I don't like to, as we always talk about, the dinosaur money tipping point. We need to get to the stage where we stop actually valuing cryptocurrency in fiat currency. But obviously, while we're in this transitional phase, it's just natural because that's how people measure success. So
people started to price cryptos in Bitcoin, but that's kind of weakened a little bit.
You need to have a marketplace where things are priced in the unit of currency. You need to have a marketplace where things are priced in Dash or in a stable currency, because that's what people need. You're not going to have that until something reaches a level of stabilization where it's able to be priced like that. So I think we're still a ways out from that. We can build the marketplaces and we can build the functionality, but the pricing interfaces are still going to have to be localized to the individual who's understanding what the currency is being valued in. You know what I'm saying? Or what the product is being valued in.
Absolutely. And there's not much in it as well. If there's anyone watching this and they did buy at the top, I feel your pain. My heart goes out to you. Stay strong, stay positive, stay in the game. What I will say is, look, Dash, well, I last checked, was ranked 14. But if you look at the rank 14 to rank number 7, there's only $1 billion between all of them. It's a very, very small margin. So I'm sure I can't tell you when the recovery is going to happen, but there's not a lot on it. Don't get sucked into the rank game. Just focus on the end game. There you go. It's a t-shirt for you.
Yeah. Also, it's there's been some talk about CoinMarketCap being manipulative and inaccurate, being used to pump and stuff. Whatever that's, whether or not that holds any weight, there's a bunch of different ways. When you look at a single unit of the currency, what it's trading for across a bunch of exchanges and selected exchanges, not all of them, right? Then that determines the market cap. If you notice, Zcash has never been very high in the rankings, despite it being a top coin. And that's because very few units of Zcash have ever been mined. So if
That's
you
an
think about
interesting
that,
point, because a lot of people, some people criticize Dash, saying that we're too scarce. You know, oh, we need to create more Dash so the price will be lower and will be much more attractive. And you look at Zcash, and they're a lot more scarce than we are. What's it, like 3 million and something in terms of like total supply?
yeah. So Dash is around 8 million right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
was just talking about
total
Zcash.
units.
Yeah, so Zcash is
I don't
about
know.
3 million.
And that's
So,
one of those things where these market cap things, there is I can't, viewers at home, please help me out real quick, because there was some coin market cap alternative out there I was looking at. Alan Demarest, Flying Free, he noticed, he sent it to me and I can't find it. I'm sorry, Alan.
Bitcoin Gecko.
It's one of these rankings was by 2050 supply, right? So by so for example, a fun comparison is Dash versus Monero with current supply and 2050 supply. Current supply, it's pretty neck and neck. 2050 supply, Dash is significantly ahead because most of Monero got mined already. And Dash had like a lot of Dash got mined the first day due to the bug, but it's still like a slow, even distribution. Zcash is the same. Zcash jumps way up in ranking, and that's the thing have you noticed that there aren't like good old fashioned from scratch proof of work coins anymore?
That's
what
think
about
like
it. Cardano
first gen versus second gen
mined from nothing, and this is about. It's his comparison, useful comparisons, not talking smack. Okay, before you say, "Oh, you're just talking shit about other projects." No, objective things. Ripple was not, it's old enough to have been mined from nothing, but it was not. Ethereum had a significant, what would you call it, ICO, airdrop, whatever, a significant pre-mine kind of thing. Cardano, IOTA, certainly Tron. I don't know. I like just name out of the top coins, basically anything that's not Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Dash. And Monero, although Monero had that fast mine that made it kind of a half and half, kind of half mine from nothing, kind of half catch up really quick. And you notice that Zcash was weird. Let's see, someone just sent me a link. Anyway, so Zcash was weird in that it came late and has had just a really slow, stable distribution. And you'd think like, you think like, what's up with that?
Were they SHA-256? Was that for Zcash? I don't remember.
Zcash? Originally?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I think so. I don't remember.
But they've got to be one of the most scarce coins. They've only got 3.6 million coins in circulation right now, and they're 27 at the moment. And as Joe's just saying, as you go down the list, there's a big jump from Dash in 14th all the way down to Zcash. And these like first generation coins, I believe a lot of them were based on people asking questions of, what is sound money? If you were to create a currency, how many coins should there be? What should be the inflation rate? How should they be distributed? All these kinds of questions, where a lot of these it's kind of like the priorities have changed. It's kind of like, okay, let's have all the coins up front and just see what we can spend it in, kickstart the thing, where it seems like the questions about what money should be has been forgotten now. That message been lost somewhere along the way?
So the whole mining thing was a big part of cryptocurrency. And if you look at, we liked it around here to talk about what Brian affectionately coined the shitcoin filter, which is on CoinMarketCap.
I think I stole it. I think I stole it from Camel Soul or something. I think he was.
Yeah, you filter non-mineable, and that ranking.
Well, I think they just call them coins and tokens now, right? The coins are mineable.
Sort of. I don't know. I don't know if they really do, but under that, top 12 is Bitcoin Diamond, which is pretty hilarious, and Bitcoin Gold is top 9. But Zcash is in the top 10 if you filter non-mineable, and I wouldn't even call like there's some stuff like Verge in there that are kind of weird, but I don't know. That's an interesting. Of course, at some point, you have to remember, like, what are you trying to sort by? Like, what actually matters? And so it's between what actually matters and are you actually just selecting for the data that gives you the conclusion you want? Of course, I could think of a million criteria that would put Dash as the #1 coin, right? Like, oh, this and that and the other thing. And it's like, oh yeah, Dash is the top coin out there, which is kind of a little shady.
Well, but then you have the emotional aspects that people are being detracted from, like the proof of work mining thing. Oh, it sucks up too much electricity. And, the voting thing. Oh, it's too centralized. Or you have a core group that is incorporated. You're too centralized. So that ruins everything. There's a lot
of energy. That's the intrinsic value. That's the proof of work. You've got workers working for it. If you have proof of stake, you just create coins. That's just like saying the precious metals,
But people get distracted by that one thing.
You have alternative sources, solar and stuff too, that's going to negate a lot of that, the energy consumption arguments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of clean energy, green energy.
So when we're talking about coins, look at this. So here, this was pointed out in the live chat here. So you go to onchainfx.com, and then under at the side where it says like mining, just filter by only proof of work coins. This is just a fun. It doesn't mean proof of stake doesn't work. This is just a fun little experiment. Only proof of work coins, and then filter by year 2050 market cap implied. Right. That's just an interesting thing, because then you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Dash, Monero, and Zcash as the top 7 in that order. And it's like based on just the 2050 market cap implied is kind of interesting to see. But also when you filter out based on, mining. And so I like mineable being, proof of work. And so what does that mean? I mean, does that mean that Bitcoin Gold's like better than something like Cardano because it appears on this list and doesn't? I wouldn't say so. No. Mm-hmm. But you start to see that. And then when you start to say that, like, what do we care about any of these things? Do we care about this ranking? I actually really don't. What I care about is, what can I use this for? What can I buy with this? Can I live off of this? Who's using it? How many lives is it impacting in the real world? Not through the whole speculative cycle. And so, of course, speculative cycles are great for implying future use. And in that way, I kind of care about speculation. But I really just care about using this as money today, or using this to run smart contracts, businesses, projects, enable cool things, just help humankind out today. And so that's what I really care about. Yeah. I wish there was a ranking for that.
There kind of is. It's the free markets, but people have to get burned and start to value the right things. I think everybody's got to pay their fee, in some way, shape, or form. I got burned coming into crypto early. Amazon holders got burned when it went from $107 down to $5, 95% loss between 99 and 2001.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The Amazon is a great example, because I was never an investor before crypto. Like, I just didn't have anything to deal with, and now wouldn't call myself even an investor. I just have money, have real money, But the same thing with Amazon. I did not experience that problem, because I didn't have any shares. I was not speculating on Amazon. I was using Amazon. I was buying books. I used to read so many books. I don't read books anymore because I read too many before I was 18, and I just all done with books for life, probably. Anyway, kids at home, please keep reading books. They're good. Anyway, bought so many books off of Amazon. Then there's other stuff, and then now I buy just about anything off of Amazon thanks to BitCart. So from my perspective, Amazon just been up in how useful it is to me, and also in how many people around the world use it now. Not just, for me it works, but for a lot of people. So Amazon's been nothing but like a hockey stick of success. Now, if you look at the investor standpoint, it's a little bit rougher than that. And we have to remember that with crypto. As a user standpoint, the problem with something like Dash is the user experience of Amazon never really fluctuated with the stock price. The problem with Dash is trying to be a tool, trying to be a currency when being used in the same field as speculative tokens, right? So people say, like, compare the crypto market caps to the stock market and stuff like that. Yes, the problem with Dash, you're trying to buy your coffee with shares of Amazon stock, which can really, that's one of the biggest problems with biggest challenges Dash has to overcome. Honestly.
This is the thing that I keep thinking about too, because the only really good example that I have found for an environment where your product is money is between 1880 and 2000, or excuse me, 1911. In American banking, they were issuing their own notes, and the reputation of the bank was critical, and the relationships and how they promoted themselves. It's very interesting. Like, you can go back to those times. I think that was the time, 1880 to 2000, or excuse me, 1910.
What was it? The greenback?
Well, so that was one of many different notes that were being offered by essentially what I think we would call regional banks at the time in America, right? There was like the Upper East Coast, and then there was a few banks in there that each issued their notes, and they would as I understand it, they would devalue as you moved out of the region, right? So if you had some notes from a Northeast bank, you'd come down to let's say Florida or the Southeast, and there'd be different regional banks that had their own notes that were mostly in population. Then they'd give you an exchange rate, right? Maybe 20 cents on the note.
Right.
That reminds me of my real life experience living on the U.S.-Mexico border. In like 2 or 3 places, like very few places in Douglas, Arizona, you could spend pesos. In everywhere on the Mexican side, you could spend dollars, usually for around the same, or sometimes they charge you a little bit more. Down towards the south of the state of Sonora, you could still pretty much spend dollars, but the further south, the rarer it was, and the more exchange rate they charge you. So this is like, this exists in the world today, and that's one thing that frustrates me so much when people keep on saying like, "Oh, well, how's anyone going to use this?" Well, they already have PayPal and Apple Pay and all this stuff. Or well, what about the fluctuate? Like, all these kind of hypotheticals that crypto people talk about are existing in the world today, just outside a little first world bubble, right? That's what the people say, like Portsmouth, where I'm spending Dash every, that's just a bubble. It's just an little. It's like, well, the rest of the world is too. I remember the peso collapse in the 90s, and just all of a sudden my grandma's coins, I'm like, hey, can I buy something with this? No, they're not good anymore. They made new pesos. They're, I remember having a 500,000 Romanian lei note from when I was in Bucharest. And then while I was there, they're just like, yeah, this is like the last week you'll be able to use those, because that's getting cut off to 5 lei now. They're reissuing it.
Right. So like, people,
this is real.
It is a minority of Americans that have experienced these kinds of money issues, or haven't even had to worry about this kind of stuff. So many people, at least here in America, are very disconnected from this idea of the issuance of money that is fundamental to everything that's going on here. Who issues the money? Under what conditions is it issued? Who decides when it's issued? And who decides when it shouldn't be issued? All of these are like really important points. And in our case, we've said, okay, let's just hand it to the software. We don't need to decide. These are the conditions. It's a mathematical projection. This is how it's going to go. And so we've taken. And the thing is, like, that's the part that I think people forget. The issuance of money is the innovation here. It's how the money gets issued. And I think people forget that that's the big change here. It's not about how useful it is compared to the debit card or all these other things, how pragmatic it is, how many retail offices use it. That's not what we're talking about here. That's not the major innovation, in my opinion. It's who's issuing it under what conditions. And we've taken it out of the hands of the controls of, central banks and governments and, groups of governors who decide after looking at numbers of reports and being politically influenced to pump or dump their shitcoin, right? the dollar in this case, or any other fiat currency. They do those things and they make those decisions, and how they made those decisions are opaque. You cannot understand it. They release these reports that people spend they read every word and compare it to historical references of paragraphs and do analysis on the words. And what does that mean? Are the interest rates up or down? Like every quarter, it's a major event with the FOMC meeting, right? And so it's like, we have a new opportunity here to change the issuance of money. And I feel like that is what's being lost on so many people. That's not what it's about. You're missing the point. And that's okay. It's okay, because we're just going to make it better and easier to use so that you can get in on this game, world. Like, that's what we're doing here at Dash.
100%. Issuance,
Great points.
key word there. I mean, Aristotle defined what the characteristics of money should be. One, it must be durable. Money must stand the test of time and the elements. It must not fade, corrode, or change through time. Secondly, it must be portable. Money hold a high amount of worth relative to its weight and size. 3, it must be divisible. Money should be relatively easy to separate and recombine without affecting its fundamental characteristics. An extension of this idea is that the item should be fungible. There's a term we hear a lot. 4, it must have intrinsic value. That's come up already in the podcast today. The value of money should be independent of any other object and contained in the money itself. And this goes through all time of ages. So issuance is the key thing there. Gold and silver, obviously, is a tick in all those boxes. Fiat paper money, not so much. It's not really durable paper, and paper doesn't have that intrinsic value to the definition just given. Stocks and shares obviously don't apply. And then the other thing that normally gets thrown in the mix is then as a commodity is oil, but obviously oil is not durable and it's not very portable. If you put oil in a coin, it's not really going to work, right? But if you can get cryptocurrency to apply to all those rules, which is why I'm a big fan of the proof of work concept, because I believe in sound money based on history and what we know. Really, the issue that Chuck has identified is the issuance. But if you can take back control and have fair distribution and apply to all those rules, you're onto a winner. And I think a lot of the time people ignore those sound money criteria that's the winning thing. So like people forget these things, but they're so fundamental to know. So anyway, it's a bit boring, but it comes down to the same question. If you're going to create money, as we were saying before, like what is money? You have to understand money before you can even start to answer that question.
Right. But that's why I like the experiment of some of these ICOs, because they've pre-mined in many cases billions of tokens, right? Which in my opinion sorely inflates their value. But I liken it unto a tree, right? You can take the roots of a tree and you can tear it out and you can dump it in a yard and hopefully it's going to grow. Or it's gonna die. Like that's it. Like with these big tokens that have pre-mined everything, and that's it. That's all the tokens that are going to be released. Is either it's going to live or die. I think by starting at the seed and nurturing a seed and guiding its growth like a bonsai with attention, you can have that thing last a very long time. I think that's the comparative difference what we're doing between Dash and all these pre-mined tokens.
100%. Happy vibes.
Yes. So I got to take off now. The college kids are getting antsy. They want to hear about the Dash goodness. And apparently they weren't watching the podcast, or they kind of give me a break. But special shout out to Zachariah or Daddy's Home for meeting with my mother yesterday and helping her set up a wallet and stuff so I could send her some Dash because they're all in the Phoenix area right now. So yeah, good going. Thanks. And also good work, Zachariah, in helping with Dash Direct. It's one of the odd things of just people in the community I've seen come up from just, hey, I'm interested, I want to get involved, how do I do it, to starting to become a cool rock star. So anyway, there will be an after party. So first off, if you are a video only listener and you just can't find the time to tune in, or you're driving a lot or whatever, Dash Force News 3 Amigos podcast is a legit podcast, audio only version, iTunes, Stitcher, a whole bunch of extra stuff. We put it in the link in when we do the repost videos. Do we do it in the description as well, Mark, or not?
No, but I can do moving forward. I will do that. That might be nice.
Yeah, that would be good. So you can just follow us audio only. So you can just be working out, you're at the gym, on the drive, doing whatever, cooking, whatever you want to be doing. I'm not judging. You're going to be listening to the podcast. And as always, for the select special / random cool kids, there's always the after party in the Dash Nation Discord. That's dashchat.org. You get in there, start asking, hey, where's the 3 Amigos after party at? Where's the after party at? And then someone might let you in. It's limited to 10 spots. Some days that fills up really quick. Other days there's just no one wants to talk. I'm not going to be in there today because I got plenty of stuff to do, but it goes on, casual conversation like this, but more casual, for hours and hours and hours with different people floating in and out. And eventually Mark's just like, right, well, it's 3 a.m. here. Oh, I got to get to bed. And then he goes off to bed, and then it's kind of over. So anyway, something to look forward to. Thanks very much, Chuck, for being on. Thanks very much for taking the time to operate on Brian's dog. And thanks, guys, for another good day. And same bad time, same bad channel.
Cool. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe as well. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
And stay dashy.
Bye.